goes faster and faster.
Welcome back to With Antone MotoGP, where it's data, not noise. MotoGP racing is back this weekend and we have 10 rounds left to decide the 2026 season. And the narrative is starting to shift. All the noise is about the championship standings, and what the data tells me is the story is slightly different. Today, we're going to look at some of those specific questions hanging over the biggest names in the paddock. Pecco Bagnaia, Marquez, Fabio Quartararo, Pedro Acosta, and more. We're heading through a brutal triple header in Europe before the long haul into the Asian rounds. What happens next? Let's look at the numbers and each of the teams this week. Okay, Ducati, the Pecco Bagnaia mystery. All the noise around Pecco Bagnaia involves the chassis, the brakes, and those strange racing incidences. But the data shows a different mystery. Gigi Dall'Igna, recently interviewed, said he was glad Ducati did not change the 2024 bike for the 25. But in real terms, that tells me that Ducati had reached some kind of limit with the aero bike, which peaked in the 24's development, so they made minimal changes from 25 to 26 so they could focus on 27. But here's the question: why would Gigi tell us the truth anyway? He's not going to tell us. The data for me suggests that Pecco is fighting a bike that is nothing like the GP24. Ducati have a problem. Have they gone in the wrong direction? But what will Ducati do to help Pecco Bagnaia, or will they do anything at all to help him? Now, Marc Marquez, the priority is shifted. Gigi wants to win, period. That's the end of the discussion. So Marc Marquez is the proven winner, and the data from the first half of the season on the Ducati has shown he's managed to adapt his body to the demands of the GP26. Does Ducati play entirely to Marc Marquez's strength? If they do, where does that leave Fabio Di Giannantonio and, of course, the forgotten Ducati man, Firmin Aldeguer, in his injury comeback? That's the story for Ducati for the next 10 GPs of 2026. And if you value MotoGP analysis that looks past their headlines, why don't you drop downstairs there and hit the subscribe button? It helps this channel stay independent. Thanks for doing it. Okay, across at Yamaha, we've got to start to think about the commercial engine. Now, Toprak is more than a rider in that puzzle. What's the plan? What is the plan that Yamaha have for Toprak in 2026? To understand this, we've got to look at Yamaha as a global motorcycle company. Not just a race team. Global sales are struggling. The question here for Yamaha is commercial. They need a superstar to drive the brand relevance. Toprak targeting a top 10 isn't a racing goal anymore. It's a marketing necessity. And Fabio, the sideline risk, the data on Fabio is stark. He is a world-class talent on a machine that isn't and won't deliver. The real noise suggests that he may not even see out the full season. So what does Yamaha do if they lose their race benchmark before the final in Valencia? If Fabio walks, the project resets to zero. And strangely enough, maybe that's exactly what they need. They need to hit rock bottom so they can start to rebuild. And Jack Miller, he has now the superbike pivot. Jack finished 8th at the Hungarian GP. Can he improve on that? As he really has nothing left for the rest of the season. And if he can, we're going to see whether he can make that change. We're going to have some more on Jack Miller real soon. Okay, over at KTM, they finally fixed the engine drama. Now, Acosta is facing a challenge for the rest of the season, and that's being a non-Grand Prix winner. Look, the engines, as I said, now are finally fixed and they're ready to run at full power. But for Pedro Acosta, the data point that matters is that number 0. There are only 3 riders on the grid who haven't won a GP race in MotoGP, and Acosta is one of them. He's going to the factory GP team in 27, as we know, and he cannot afford to enter that garage without a Premier Class win on his resume. These next 10 rounds are his last chance to avoid being the talented non-winner when he pulls on that red racing suit at Ducati. Also, we've got the KTM Exodus underway with Viñales and Binder and the Beast. KTM is a revolving door right now. Everyone's leaving. The focus now must be them. Aero, let's gather what data we can and put it into the 27 project. Okay, Aprilia, it's all about the Brivio factor. And Ogura, he has nothing to lose. He is the star under the watchful eye of Davide Brivio. Ogura knows he's going to Yamaha in 27. The noise says he might become a bit of a lame duck on that bike, but the data says he has total freedom. He has nothing to prove regarding his future, which I feel makes him the most dangerous man on the track for the final 10 rounds. Let's see how it goes. And Jorge Martin, well, Jorge has, rumoured to have reverted to the 25 spec settings. He isn't just riding for a championship, though. He's riding to prove he is the best rider of all of the riders at Aprilia. Now, his unforced error rate in the Asian rounds has been great in the past. If he stays calm, and the data says if he's calm, he's the favourite. So let's hope that the noise around the paddock doesn't get to him. Otherwise, we may see some of those errors return. Now, HRC, it's all about credibility and, of course, physical resilience for one Johann Zarco. He's returning from that horrific knee injury at Barcelona. For him, the rest of the data for 26 isn't really about lap times. It's about his ability to withstand the forces on what is a compromised leg. Will he succeed in this challenge? And the question we need to ask is, can he continue to ride this year? And if he can, what about next year? It's a sort of a wait and see. Now, Moreira's 9th place at Barcelona was his racing peak so far in 26. But for Honda, his goal is not winning everything. It's about being consistent and fighting at the front. He needs to show Honda he is the future by simply being in the mix every single Sunday Grand Prix. Okay, so we're now heading into the last 10 rounds of the 2026 season. We're in Europe and then we hit Asia. And in Asia, the weather, the heat and the humidity are going to change the racing dynamic. It will become entirely about tyres and the pressure of conducting your team, your riders in the flyaway rounds. The big question though for you guys is which manufacturer gets the most value out of the rest of 2026? And which rider are you watching more closely than the others? Drop it down in the comments below and we can have a chat. Now listen, I'll be dropping back on Thursday for a full pre-GP episode, but I want to thank you for watching today. And remember, it's data, not noise. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
And always fast.